This is Marlene with Miami Ghost Chronicles, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Stories of the Supernatural. Wherever you find us, whether it's a video or podcast on your favorite platform, please like and subscribe to us so that you can get notification of when a new show is released. You can also find us on major social media platforms. If you go to miamighostchronicles.com, you can find links to the videos or MP3 files, which you can download and enjoy without commercial interruptions. If you're into classic horror, ghost, and adventure stories, I narrate Nightshade Diary, and you can find links at nightshadediary.com. If scary stories are your bag, and listening to encounters with cryptids, ghosts, dogman, and other weird creatures sends a shiver up your spine, then go to supernaturalstorytime.com for links to our weekly podcasts. Noteworthy news about the paranormal world, true crime, conspiracy stories, and anything that is just plain weird can be found at eerie.news or visit the Stranger Than Fiction Stories tab at miamighostchronicles.com. Please subscribe to my newsletter on Substack. Just go to mppellicer.com for a link. I want to thank you for being part of my audience, and I think you are all wonderful. So, how's everybody doing? Good, I hope. Everything is good. Getting ready for the summer. By the way, I'm going to mention, I have a new nemesis in my yard. It's a plant. I think, I'm not sure. It's stinging nettles. I don't know what it is, but surprisingly, it's gotten me twice in the ankle, and I'm ready to saw my foot off. And even though I've put like antiseptic and everything, I don't know. I think that's what it is. I'm not sure. I ran into it. It's just like a little plant. It cut me at the ankle. I have shoes on, by the way. I'm not running around there in sandals or anything. And today I did it again, and it's painful. It stings. It's like, God, even worse than an ant attack. But yes, and I don't know. Sometimes that's like my new nemesis in my property. I gotta hunt it down with some. I have some herbicide there. I hate to use herbicide, but this thing is like. Argh. And the thing is that a lot of times this is, by the way, this has happened to me in the daytime, but I go out there tramping around in the nighttime, and out here it's very, very dark. Okay. And a lot of times I hate to say, even at nighttime, I'm out there in flip-flops because sometimes I'll hear something happening with the chickens or some weird noise. So I run out there, and usually I've got flip-flops on and PJs. So I gotta get rid of that thing. Yeah. Everybody asks me, how's everything going? Also, everybody asked me if, because I mentioned in the last show that we might be doing a conference in, now for the fall, and it looks like it's going in that direction. It's going to be like a Bigfoot paranormal conference out here in the fall. As a matter of fact, they're having a big Florida Bigfoot conference in June here. This is like in the Ocala area, central North Florida. And it looks like we're going in that direction, but I will keep everybody posted once we get a venue and hopefully, who we're going to bring in and the exact dates, of course. But yeah, we had a meeting this last week over, and we're going in that direction. But I'll keep you guys posted as to hopefully that. I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen because everybody involved so far is, has some experience as far as what they need to do. But anyway, let's get on to the good part. The good part is who I have as a guest tonight. This is the first time she's been here on Stories of the Supernatural. Her name is April, the psychic housewife of New Jersey. She is a celebrity psychic medium, a natural-born clairvoyant, remote viewer, automatic writer, and ghost hunter. She was featured on Travel Channel's hit series, The Holzer Files. April works with the most well-known celebrities in the paranormal field, investigating some of the most notoriously haunted locations. She has worked with law enforcement and missing person cases. She successfully helped a family locate a loved one with her ability to do remote viewing. April has been communicating with spirits since the age of 4 after she was visited by her deceased father, who passed away 2 years prior. She has accurately relayed messages from the spirits from the most haunted locations in the United States. She is currently filming Haunted Hotels Live, Dead Inns, and is the host of live readings with April, the psychic housewife of New Jersey, where she performs live psychic mediumship readings to a live audience. Help me welcome her. How are you doing today, April?
Hey, Marlene, how are you? Thank you for having me.
On the contrary, it's my pleasure. I was going to ask you because, but your bio says it. You had your first experience when you were a kid, 4 years old.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's funny. I was born in Hoboken. My mom moved us to a small town in New Jersey, and I don't know how far long like we're at the house, but I woke up one night and my dad was there, and I'm talking to my dad. So I'm yelling for my mom to come in, telling him daddy's here, daddy's here. And, my whole family runs in, and I'm telling him daddy's here. Daddy was just here.
Right.
My dad was dead for 2 years.
Wow.
So that's how that all started. But,
And I can imagine what feedback did you get from your family?
I was so young, and
Right.
well, my sister was telling me, like, the early years, she said, when that happened, we well, a little crazy, but things started happening in the house.
Okay.
So it wasn't good. And I always said, from my dad visiting, wherever there's a spirit, other spirits follow, and they're not
Hmm.
always good. So they were all feeling like, this eeriness in the house. It's just heavy, you know how it is from
Okay.
investigating.
Yeah.
But people, my sisters were being grabbed as they went down the stairs. Everyone was being grabbed at the ankles, and
Wow.
I was seeing what was there. So
Okay.
there was this, the famous tall man.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him clearly as I see you as a kid, and I was petrified. And he would come like late at night when everyone was bed and everyone's asleep, but I could feel him walking towards the door, and I could see him in my head,
Okay.
even though the door's closed, and I could hear him breathing, and I was so scared. And I knew like he could feel how scared I was, and I knew he was enjoying it.
Okay.
But
Right. The terror. He was causing terror.
yeah. Now this is so let me fast forward. The bedroom that I would stay in was across from my parents. My mom remarried. That's why we moved. And I woke up this room just felt heavy anyway, after the visit with my dad. But I woke up one night and I'm playing with my doll. I'm in the dark because like you get used to, your parents put the lights out. So I have a
Yeah.
doll on my table and I'm playing with the doll. And I turn over to go back to sleep, and there was this like black figure, and it was short. It was like a little stubby thing, and I called
That's
the
that's
statue
that's
because
scarier than the tall ones, as far as I'm concerned. I'll tell you that.
it had red glowing eyes,
Oh.
and it said, "I'm gonna get you." It said 3 times. I will never say 3 times. I haven't said it 3 times because it's gonna be like Beetlejuice. I'm gonna bring him
Yeah.
back.
Exactly.
But that's when all hell broke loose, and I just screamed and ran out of that room. Nobody would ever sleep. We tried to go back up in the room. My sisters would sleep up there, but we would hear noises. We'd hear scratching
In that one room.
in this one room.
Okay.
And I started having dreams. Well, they kept other spirits that were in the house were trying to get me to fly down the stairs because I'm a kid. Telling me I could fly down the stairs. They wanted to hurt me.
I was gonna say that sounds dangerous.
It was dangerous, because now I started dreaming it. So I was dreaming. They're invading my dreams,
Okay.
showing me I could fly down the stairs because in my dreams I could fly down the stairs.
Yeah, of course.
So
You're a kid also.
they wanted. So I tried to do it. My mom caught me just in time, but this was something with the stairs because
Right.
everyone that walked up these stairs would get their legs grabbed, scratched, but in the house wherever I would go, we were in our living room, the family, and I was sitting in my dad's recliner chair, and everyone's on the couch, my sister, brother on the floor, and I go flying off that chair across and hit to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at them, I said, "You say it's always me, it only picks on me." I was getting pinched, welts on me.
Do you think? Let
So
me ask you something. Was it something that was in that house, or something
well,
that was floating in or coming in that wasn't part of the house?
well, I think that my dad visiting me, because once
Mm-hmm.
you open that portal, when they visit you, others try to come in.
Yes.
And they'll sneak in. That's why anywhere you go and it's haunted, there's always more than one spirit, and there's
Yes, of
always going to
course.
be a bad spirit there, maybe more than one, but there's always a really bad one that's like the leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a theory about this, and I call it the soul collector, because I have talked to this thing, because I've
Okay.
seen him in other places. And what they like to do is they like to control the earthbounds.
Are you talking? This is non-human, right?
Non-human. This is
Okay.
non-human. It never walked the earth.
Exactly.
It was never in human in form. But and then let me tell you something. The first time I talked, because I never really got to talk to it, I could always sense it wherever I went to haunt the locations, or when I was doing residentials to go see what was going on. But one day, I went to a famous haunted location, and they took me down in the basement, which nobody, they weren't, it wasn't open to the public. And she's asked me, "What do you feel here?" And I'm like, I could see this tall, lanky man with a bloody devil head on. He had a
Oh,
bloody devil's head.
okay.
And it wasn't even that was frightening, because I'm used to that, because you know what? They can change their form. That's why we get scared as regular people. If you don't know this, they change themselves to look that way, to scare us. They
Right.
know what we fear. But this thing was not human. And all of a sudden, I could just feel it start to vibrate. It was like if it was going around the room like really fast, and
Right.
it penetrated my auric field that I was starting to get sick. I've never had that happen to me before. Nothing
Wow.
really can affect me. I ran up the stairs. I can't stay down here. I ran upstairs because I felt nauseous. I felt like I was going to throw up. And I'm sitting there, and this is going to sound so crazy, but this thing, like, like Freddy Krueger, when he goes to the wall, like he sticks his head. This thing came to the wall. He said, "I'm not here for the living. I'm
Oh,
here for the dead." But it
oh,
was,
thanks.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, okay, I'm not messing with you, but it was warning me not to
Right.
mess with it,
Right.
because it showed me what it could do. And I've never had that. I don't think it could overcome me, but I'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you, that caught me off guard.
I
I've
bet.
never had that happen before.
But was that house that you went to what they were experiencing problems? Is that what was going
This is
on?
actually a famous location. It's called the Shanley Hotel here in Napanoch, New York.
Oh,
Love it.
okay. Okay.
So the owner, Keller, was telling me they had another famous UK psychic there. I don't know if it was a week or a few weeks before. The same thing happened to him, but he threw up. Now,
All right.
I'm not a
Uh,
wuss. I don't throw up. No.
no, well, you know what? Yeah, that sounds like something obviously very strong.
Yeah. So it's funny. Like, I kind of, like, one day I was working at another location, a private residence, and I kind of had an epiphany. And you know, like how you go back in time and you start reliving different places you've been? I said,
Right.
"Holy shit." Sorry.
No,
This
go right
thing
ahead.
has been in every place I've been at.
Whoa.
Yes. But this is the funny thing, because when I first started, and I would feel it, like I could feel things before I go into a home or a location, and I'm like, "Oh, there's something I don't like," right? So I'll
Mm-hmm.
get there and I'm kind of looking for that thing, and I don't feel it anymore. So I think I'm big and bad. I'm like, I got rid of it. It was scared of me. But no,
Yeah.
no. It just kind of disappears for a lot while you're there, because it stays there,
Let me
you
ask
know?
you, you mean did it you found it in other locations
Yeah.
or when you went okay. Let me ask you, do you think it was hanging out with you because you're drawing in other dead people because of your abilities?
No. I thought I,
Okay.
I thought about that too. It's kind of the same thing. It's different entities, but they all do the same thing.
Okay.
They're non-human. They go where there's other earthbound spirits, and they
All
keep
right.
them there, because they lie to them.
Yes.
They lie to them, and they want to collect their souls. That's why I call it the soul collector. Because if it keeps it from going to heaven, they essentially
Yes.
we're going to weaken them,
Yes.
and that's what they
Yes.
do. They keep them trapped until they're so weak. Because when you become earthbound, oh, and I tell people not to be scared from hearing this story, because the light is always there for us. Our family
Mm-hmm.
members will come and get us. We are not trapped. This is not forever. No matter
Right.
where it takes us, we will be saved. So I always tell, don't be afraid. This is more, when I see these earthbound type people, it's people that did something not nice in life, or something they think that wasn't nice.
Right. Like, yeah, I know that I've heard that some people get hung up on transitioning because believe it or not, they have that fear of hell.
Yeah.
Or in their mind that they think, we're our perception is our reality kind of deal.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what hell is. Really is. All right. So I'm also a shaman.
Okay.
So I don't know how much I can go into because I actually belong to a tribe, and it's sacred information. But I had to what we call journey to the lower
Okay.
realms, and it was
Okay.
weird. It was so weird. It was like it was like nothingness, complete nothingness. But
Uh-huh.
there is different levels.
Okay.
So when we cross over, we're essentially in heaven. We're just not in all the way, having the
Okay.
fun. We go through what is called we go life review. So it just wants to show you like the bad things you did or even the good things, and it shows you how you
Right.
help other people. The bad, if you did something bad, it shows you how you affected the wife, the children, and how
Right.
it affected their lives to in generations to come. You have to come to grips with what you did. And once
Right.
you do that and you release that, you're welcome in. They want you there. You're essentially there. But if
Right.
you're there too long and you're afraid, because I've done readings where the people weren't so nice
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't want to do the life review. So they're kind of in that nothingness place.
Yeah, I bet, that, yeah, maybe by
Yeah.
the time they got old, they were like, well, I did a lot of bad things, but they had a history of.
Yeah, yeah, they just were not nice people. Like one wasn't even like a murder or anything; it just wasn't nice to the kids.
Yeah.
Not a nice person. So, and stubborn as hell. Like she didn't want. I'm like, all right, hey, lady, until you realize it on your own, I can't. We can't make um, a spirit cross over because people think once you bring a priest or a psychic in, they're
Right.
going to cross over. No, I think I've had a handful of successful crossings, where
Okay.
I got to talk to them, tell them what was going on. And that, like, the first time it happened to me was the craziest thing because the light that appeared, because I'm telling you, walk into a light. I know it's a light and I've seen it before, but this thing appeared in front of me and it was so bright. And I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe this is really happening. It was amazing. And it sucked her in, just sucked her right in.
Let me ask you, have you ever run across ones that really didn't understand that they were dead? Either because they died like violently, suddenly,
Yeah.
and
You know what? I haven't run into it, and I've done so many places and homes, and they all pretty much know. Wait, wait, wait.
okay.
Let me see. Let me think. Wait, wait, wait. The one I'm talking about, I guess she kind of knew. I'm gonna tell you, it was a private residence. They told
Okay.
me they had stuff going on, so I was seeing what was going on. Now I didn't want to say it over the phone to the lady. So I said I make the appointment. I go over to the house, and I walk right past her and go into her kitchen. I said things are being knocked off the wall. She said, "Yeah." What I tell her, I said what I was seeing. I didn't want to say it over the phone. Is like there's a creepy crawly lady on the wall.
Oh my God.
I know, and it's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is those creepy crawly things. But I have to stand my ground. I'm walking around the house, and so I'm walking and I come to the master bedroom and I start walking in there, and all of a sudden this older woman starts pushing me out. She's like, get out, get out, get out. She's pushing me out. So I looked to the woman. I said, I'm trying to think. I forgot the lady's name. I'm gonna say,
Right.
who's Janet? She goes, that's my mother. She just passed. I said, well, she's not letting me in this room. She said, well, that's because we all stay in there because of what's been going on. I said, well, she's protecting you. It's crazy because she was pushing me. Like I was
Okay.
actually like moving back because I could feel her pushing me. But anyway, so now I said, I said, are you hearing scratch on your living room floor and banging? She said, yeah, it's downstairs because she crawls on the ceiling there. So I go down there, walking around, blah, blah, blah. I find where she is, and she's creepy looking. I start talking to her. She changes into her human form for me,
Okay.
like the creepy crawly lady, and she explains to me that she lived there with her husband when they got married. She
Okay.
had mental illness. She went crazy. The
Right.
husband put her in a facility. He sold the house to put her in the best facility. Now
Okay.
she has passed. She comes back to the house. She's looking for him.
Right.
I
Right.
explained to her that he has crossed over. Once you go into that light, you're going to find him. So she was lovely. She went in. She
Yes.
disappeared scared because she was scared because she didn't know why these people in the house, and she wants her husband.
Right, right. This was her last memories, maybe of when
Yeah,
she has some type of familiarity. How's
yeah,
that?
exactly. So she, I think we tend to go back, you know, where we lived or something, like to look, especially if we don't cross over because we're afraid to detach. Oh my God. That's a hard
Yes.
I gotta tell you, I tell people all the time, I do this for a living. And I gotta tell you, when I go, I think I'm gonna have a hard time too because of my
Well, I
daughter.
think that also the workplaces, I think those are the workaholics, the people that enjoy more spending more time at
Yeah,
work
yeah.
than at home,
Yeah.
that you hear. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Everybody thinks people go home. Sometimes if you were happiest at work,
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I
yeah.
know a friend of mine was telling me, like, at her office, a woman had passed away, and they kept seeing her in the office, like as
Mm-hmm.
if we're looking at each other. And I said, that happens. But
Yeah.
I will tell you, when somebody has abilities and they're mediumistic or have any type of ability, when you go into a regular home that's never been haunted before, and all of a sudden stuff starts happening, it's because the person has abilities and is able to, wherever I go, I'll tell you where this is spirit, but
Right.
it kind of activates any dormant spirits. So
Okay.
that's why activity happens. And probably 9 times out of 10, where there's a haunted location, it was because it started because, like in the residentials, because somebody in that family has some type of ability and kind of
Okay.
activated the spirits. So,
Yeah. So in other words, that the spirit senses you can see me or hear me or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Doesn't
So,
that also draw in spirits that are not connected to that location just because that person
yes,
has the ability to maybe see them or hear them?
yeah,
Or
because that's what was happening in my house. There was spirits coming into this house that didn't belong there.
okay.
But they
Let me
said,
ask you that tall outline man.
yeah.
That sounds like that wasn't human, or do you think it was just a human that, or that little thing? Let me tell you something right
Oh,
there.
that was not human. That
Okay,
was
I was
not
that's pretty
human.
horrific.
Yeah, that was horrific. I hated that thing. Do you know that thing? And I even say to this day, too many people claim to have attachments, and it's very rare. They don't stay. I don't believe it. Like every story, I've talked to people in the last, and I said, I don't see anything with you. This thing stayed with me throughout my life, but it would go dormant
Okay,
at times. And now it's funny. Now, from a kid at 4 years old, this thing coming around, it would pop up, and it's weird. It would pop up like if I was not in a great situation or around somebody
right.
that was not good.
Okay, okay.
And it
Did you
would
ever see it outside of your house? Like it was with you all the time, or just in your
no,
house?
now I can't now I see everything in my head.
Right.
It's like it's
Okay.
almost like I trained myself because it's scary to see a full body.
Oh, sure.
It's so scary. Now everything I see is in my head, so and I could sense it, but this thing would talk in my ear, and it would
Oy.
always say my full name. My first name, my middle name, and my
Oh
last name.
boy, it's like yeah,
And
it's this is all about me. Like in other words, it's giving me my
yeah,
full name.
it kept like, and it would say, "I'm gonna get you," and it would say my full name, and I'm like, "No, you're not." I'm like, but I will tell you, I met my husband. Um, I'm with him 27 years. So when I first met him, this thing started coming around again.
Really?
And yeah, and I could feel it. I could hear it sometimes. And then one night I was sleeping, and it went in my dream. It let me know it's going after my husband.
Uh huh.
And I killed it in my dream, and it stopped.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh my God, like, because that's the love of my life.
Right.
You are not going to touch my husband. Imagine if you go after my daughter now, like later, I have my daughter.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
this was the
son
what
of
you
a
won't do for
bitch.
yourself.
Yeah. But that's how it ended. And I just will never let that happen again. It was just a childhood thing that followed me, because
Do you think that it was a thought form? Could it have been a thought form that took on its own animus,
well,
its own identity?
I understand. I agree with thought forms because I have encountered that too. No, this
Uh
was
huh.
not a thought form at all.
Okay.
This is a real non-human entity. And it's
Okay.
funny. Now, this is another story out of that house. Now I'm older. I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably 17. I remember now We go about our lives. I mean, we still go in the room. Nobody really stays in that room. Nobody claimed that room. We
Right.
kept our stuff in there.
Yeah.
Nobody was sleeping there. So I'm I'm in my parents' bedroom and I'm watching TV and I'm kind of dozing off, but you know when you feel somebody staring at you? So I'm like, I
Oh
open
yeah.
my eyes and there's a man standing there in a bomber jacket, but I don't feel threatened like the other ones. And I kept closing my eyes, and I did 4 times. I opened and closed my eyes, and he's still there. But the last minute, I mean, I could see this guy, but you could see through him, and he had no legs. The same old story. Everyone's because it kind of
Yes.
fades out.
Mm-hmm.
I run down the stairs, and I'm like, whoa! I'm like, there's a man in a bomber jacket in the room, and my mom's so nonchalant. She's like, that's your dad's brother Rudy. And she shows me a picture of him. I'm like, that's the guy. So
Wow.
I didn't feel threatened by it. I think he was there to watch over us type of
Uh-huh.
thing. So, but so that's how I started.
But thank God your mom like took it in stride.
Yeah, she was so laid back with it, and I think I'm like that with a parent now too. Like, my daughter gets nervous or, if they get cut, I am so calm. And that's how she was. She just like, that's Uncle Rudy.
And you're like, really? It's yeah, because I've heard of people that on the contrary, if they're kids and they're seeing things, they kind of get shut down by the parents, like because and I say, you know what?
Well,
Because
yeah.
parents want you to be normal. They don't want you to get picked on, so
It's
they
not
try.
only that too, like, all right, when people reach out to me, and this kind of upsets me that my 3-year-old's seeing this, and they're more of like stage moms
Mm-hmm.
or stage parents because they want their kid to be.
Yeah.
Will you train the kid? And I said, absolutely not. I said,
Why
listen,
would?
just let them go through it, like da da da. Let them have a childhood
Of course.
because they see too many TV shows and they want
Yes.
to get these kids on shows. So I will not.
I you know what? I really can't understand that because I would never want to do that to my child.
I know. I was horrified at some of the emails I get, and I'm like, absolutely not. Let them be a kid. Just let them be a kid. I
Yeah.
just wanted to be a kid, do my own thing. We didn't discuss this outside the house because we didn't want people thinking we were crazy. I didn't come.
Right.
I didn't come out like doing this. Like when I was a teenager, like my friends knew I could do this and stuff, and I would like read their family. Then I said, all right, I'll do readings. I was doing readings on the phone. I would never let people see me because I didn't want them.
Mm-hmm.
I was a weirdo. I'm a cheerleader. Like a normal kid.
Right. Yeah. Let me ask you: did you ever have that thing about knowing somebody's gonna die?
Um. Yes, but they weren't close to me.
Okay.
Thank God. Like I,
I
I,
know because I've
I
heard of people that they dream and they get this
yeah.
reputation in their families. Like, man, whatever you do, don't dream about me because
Can I
every
tell
time
you
you dream
something?
about somebody, they die.
There's always one in the family. Now nobody in my family has this gift, but my sister will have a dream about somebody that's going to die, and that's about it. Like this, so
Right.
like I can't even get when I see the phone ring and it's her name. I'm like, I somebody died, and I'll pick up who died. But
Yeah.
with me, I really I'll tell you the truth, I just told a couple of business partners the other day. I said I had a vision or they popped into my head and there was these are classmates from 100 years ago
Okay.
that I haven't spoke to since I was in school, eighth
Right.
grade or whatever. And I have a feeling I'm going to hear something about them coming up. And it was 2 names
Okay.
I gave. So I told them, I said, I'll let you know. But I never really usually have that happen. It's weird, but like
Right.
I said, I don't go negative. I'm not like a negative reader.
Right. Right. No,
I'm
I know. I
yeah,
know. But people sometimes don't realize that I've heard that when you're psychic, they have that. Sometimes they have that Cassandra effect. Where unfortunately, sometimes some of the things, not so much the medium part as far as seeing the dead people, but that clairvoyance.
yes,
Sometimes it becomes a little on the
and
negative
it's
side
in
where they
their sleep.
foresee.
It's in there. It's always the dreams. It's those
Yeah.
like the Edgar Casey, psychics,
Yes.
and not during waking hours, only during sleep.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Like this is,
I have
and
two
some,
friends that do that.
and when the thing sometimes that they see, especially, is like usually disagreeable things, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So it's funny, yeah,
I don't
how
know if
that,
it's just because of the emotion that's involved in it, whether it's fear or anger.
yeah. I always say like it's hard to read friends and family because you're
Yeah.
emotionally,
Yeah, and you know.
because we psychically we use the right side of our brain because that's the creative side, that's the psychic side. The left sides are logical. Now say I'm going to read my daughter, of course, you know, oh, you know, say if I'm even doing the tarot
Right.
card
Right.
and the tower card comes up, that's the worst card. Nobody wants to see the tower card because that's
Right.
destruction.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, my logical brain's gonna kick in.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's gonna
I
lose
know.
her job and get another job, like something stupid like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That's yeah.
Yeah. So I can't essentially really read, but I was telling somebody the story. It's funny, my husband who like he makes me better at what I do because he'll push me. But one day he's like, "You got to start doing world events." I'm like, "Absolutely not. I'm not touching that."
Let me tell you
Um,
something. It's like, once upon a time it was few and far between. Now it seems like every week there's something going on.
yeah, it's funny. I did say something about the King of England. I knew he was
Mm-hmm.
gonna be sick, but I didn't make a public announcement. I just said to some friends, um, and the bridge. But actually, it was last year. I had a fear of bridges.
Really.
Last year, I was like, I feel like something bad's gonna happen in bridges. I'm not. I don't want to go over bridges. I was petrified,
Let
and
me tell you something. My husband is one of these. This has happened to him in old age where if it's a longer bridge, he's like, you can tell he just looks straight ahead. He
yeah.
doesn't want to look like
Oh, Maron, those long. I forget which bridge it is. It just goes on forever, and it's like you're on the water.
yeah, right,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah, it's like we've gone on the 7 Mile bridge down in the Keys. That's a very, very long bridge.
oh my God, yeah,
7 miles,
yeah,
And it's like, and it's not really a high bridge, but it just
yeah,
goes right over the water. It's like,
yeah. So it kind of makes you nauseous after a while. It's like it's
yeah,
like it plays with your mind.
yeah. No, that
Um,
does. And it's like, don't worry about it. I'm driving that time, and it's like, calm down, just look at the clouds or something.
hey, let me ask, did you have issues around the house or something, or your husband was upset at something around the house?
Upset
Uh,
at the house. Oh, no,
something
not
about the house or doing something with the house?
the only thing he's been doing is like, we've been no, he's been. Oh, he's not too happy. He's been shoveling, that clay earth that we put around the perimeter of the
Okay,
house.
yeah. I
And I was like getting on him like, hey, we need to do this before the rainy season starts because
Yeah,
here in
listen, that's
Florida,
why you're right. I'm telling because I keep seeing something he's upset about, like well, and it has to do with the house.
right? And he was like, and I told him because I was telling him we need to do this before rainy season because
You
what
have
happens
to.
is that the even though we've got gutters, we
Yeah,
still get rainfall, and I have like a 500-year-old oak
yeah.
behind us,
That's what I'm
and
saying. Like, listen, I just feel
and
like
the debris and
yeah.
stuff, and it was like one of those like we got to do it now, and he's like,
That's why I'm telling you. Like, I feel like there's something around the house we have to be careful with.
yeah, well, let me tell
Yeah.
you, one time last what was it? Like maybe a few months ago, I had a huge tree come down.
Okay.
Huge tree. It was like a 500-year-old oak.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you something. Talk about like your own earthquake. I saw that, and I was standing on my porch, and all of a sudden I hear this snap like that. A minute I thought, it was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And my poor dogs, I see all my dogs going because I live on acreage. They're like, and I'm like, I'm gonna lose my dogs, and I see this thing go paw.
Yeah.
I could tell my neighbor called. She was like, when somebody's scared to call
Yeah.
to find out, hey, if you don't answer, please, I don't want to go over there and
Okay.
find out.
Well, this makes sense what I'm saying because I feel this issue on the property, around the
Yeah,
property,
yeah.
and it's just unsettling. But
Oh
everything's
yeah.
gonna go good. Um, there's some type of business opportunity coming your way. That's something's
Well,
gonna be brought to you.
oh, okay,
Yeah, a
cool.
business
I'm good.
opportunity, and
I'm cool with that.
I see like celebration around this. So it's like
Well, my husband's birthday is April 11th.
no, 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 no. It's not.
Oh,
It's not birthday. It's a
well,
business offer, business, something to do with
okay,
career business. So this
okay.
is going to be coming up for you, and it's actually really good.
Okay,
Um,
good.
and there's something around the car. You have to get a new car or something, or issues around the car.
Okay. Let me tell you, it's really funny. We have a pickup because out here in the sticks you need a pickup.
Yeah, yeah,
But we
yeah,
got we got a smaller car. My husband, he's the one that usually goes to the gym and stuff.
yeah.
We find out all of a sudden we get a letter. Oh, it's got a recall. And it's a serious
Oh,
recall. It has to do with the oil thing. I was ready to turn that thing in. So it's like, you know what, we're gonna get the recall done, and then
yeah,
we're gonna do. But you know what? It's one of those because my truck had a recall, but it was for the wiper arm. It's like, who
yeah,
cares? You
yeah.
know,
That's stupid. Yeah,
I don't care about the wiper arm. But that's about yeah. At one point, we were like going back and forth debating what we were gonna do with it because I was like, I don't like this. You know, this thing
yeah.
of
I don't like the car, but I think you're gonna be fine. Nothing bad's gonna happen.
no, I know, but I'm one of these people that since where we live out, because I mean, I was born and raised in Miami, and I'm used to in a city, everything is short distance. You
Yeah,
know, you got a gas station every corner, you
yeah.
know, and everybody. But out where I'm at, it's very rural. So you'll have one gas station out in the. Let's put it this way: I got to travel 12 miles to get to a Mickadee.
Oh my gosh.
So you've got one gas station here, which closes down at 7 p.m., and you'll
Oh
go
my gosh.
miles,
Yeah,
before it's around here. Everything is a long distance. So if you don't have whatever you're traveling in, plus you're going down a road and there's no ambient lighting out here,
yeah.
and if you pull over, you might roll off the embankment.
Oh
Let's
my
put,
gosh. So you need a steady car. So you need a
oh,
very
no, no, that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. I mean, our cars are
yeah,
very good, but still, the reason why that wigs me out a little bit is because of that.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
before, when you're living in the city, it's like, don't worry, I got a million people who will come and rescue me if something
Yeah,
happens.
exactly. But not in the boonies.
No, 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 no. So yeah, that's me being. I'm
Yeah,
the. My husband looks at me like, you're worried, because he's kind of like the delayed reaction kind of guy,
yeah, yeah,
and I'm like, no, what if we get stuck out in the middle of nowhere at 11 o'clock? And he's looking
yeah.
at me like, oh my. He. By the way, my husband is from New Jersey, from Elizabeth.
Oh,
He
from
was a
Elizabeth?
cop. Yeah, he was a
Oh,
cop.
okay. That's not far from me.
No, okay, he was a policeman for Port Authority.
Oh, wow. Good for him. That's a good job.
Yep. So, but he came down here, but he says, well, when we go home, and I'm like, home? What's home? Home to him
Jersey.
is still,
Ah, New Jersey is always your home.
yeah, yeah, that kind of deal. He's still, he has a sister and everything still up there, but
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of deal.
Oh my God.
But
How cool.
yeah, and then I bug him when it gets a little bit cold because he would tell me, "Oh no, in the snow," and I go, "Well, wait a minute, aren't you the guy who would tell me that there would be snow drifts and you could do this and that?" And he looks at me and walks away. He goes, "Now, when it gets
Yeah.
cold, it's like,
I'm
man, it's
sure
really cold."
he must miss the season, the change of
He
season.
does,
Yeah.
but out here where I'm at, because I'm like in central North Florida,
Yeah.
there is seasons. It's just that there's no snow, thankfully, but it
Yeah.
gets pretty
Yeah.
cold,
Yeah.
below freezing in a
Yeah.
few days.
Wait. What is Florida cold? No.
Well, no, I tell everybody I'm a wimp. If it goes below 50, I'm like, oh my god, it's so cold.
Oh, okay. That's summer to us here.
Yeah, of course,
It
of
was
course.
52
But
degrees.
for
We're like,
him now, he's like, and he gets up and goes, I think I'm gonna put on the heater. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought you were telling me that it would snow and you would have to poke to find your car and all this, and he's like,
oh
that's what
my
I'm saying. He
God.
walks away. He's like, I'm not gonna talk about that.
That's so
You know how
funny.
that goes, that people
Is he
just like,
into paranormal? Did he experience any
oh my god, yeah, his mom
yeah.
was a spiritualist.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, he saw a lot of stuff because he was he is his mom. Some of the times when he was younger, would take him to some of the meetings. So not a lot, or she would make him sit out there. But she saw a few things when he was growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he did, and I want to say because his dad died also when he was very young,
Yeah.
and he had a few experiences along those lines also. I think
Yeah.
with
I've seen his
having to do
dad.
with his dad. Yep,
Yeah. The
yep.
portals are open in that house. So
Well, you know what? It's one of those things that also he saw, when you're a kid and you see things and you're like, even as a kid, you're like, holy crap,
yeah.
what is, yeah, so he, that's why he's like, most of the time he acts like, but no, he's seen some stuff that it's not like, what do you call it? Not like the real, like he's seen somebody thrown across a room.
Yeah.
He was like sitting. His mom had made him sit in the living room They
Yeah.
had been called in for like basically a very quickly an intervention, and it sounds like, for lack of a better word, he's described, even though he was a kid, this person apparently, this man used to work with their spiritual circle,
Yeah.
and his wife called the lady that used to take care of it, and he goes, look, he had stopped coming to meetings, and then his wife called and said, look, there's something going on with him. He's not talking. He's like changed his personality. One of
Yeah.
those
Yeah. Yeah.
deals. Like this was like a, from when he told me the story, like this was like a couple of months. This wasn't like overnight. And then that's when the group came over to his house. His wife said, please come help me. I don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
And they came over, and apparently I think what he described to sound like he must either, if not possessed, I don't think, because I know possession is not that easy. He was very obsessed, or something was really on him.
Yeah.
And one of the times, the whatever it was, because he was trying to find it, he saw this guy like thrown into a closet.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Okay.
crazy. Well,
So and he was like, he was the kid. And he said that after that, his mom said, okay, you know what? You're not going to come to any more of these things. If I have to come, I
yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
that kind of deal. But yeah, he saw stuff. He saw
Yeah. I would
stuff.
never bring. I don't like children around this.
No, he was like, I want to say he wasn't a real little kid. He was maybe 11 or 12,
Yeah.
but old enough to know, man. That's wow. What is
Yeah.
that?
It's
Yeah.
kind of cool at the same time for them,
Yeah, exactly. But
So
even as a kid, you're like, no. And I tell everybody, one thing is when you see it in the movies, and another thing is when you see it.
yeah.
And he even said later on, the lady that was the head of that circle, she passed away, and her kids they wanted to sell the house, but they asked his mom, said, hey, could you take, and I think this is a winter thing, could you make sure that the pipes or something with the house, go in there and turn on the water, the pipes, something so that they wouldn't freeze. Like
Yeah.
go in there and do like, make sure that everything is on or off, or one of those deals. So his mom would send him. By this time, I think he was 16 or 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And he would say, man, he says, every time I would walk in there, even though the house was,
Yeah.
nothing, nobody was in there. He says, I knew something was in there. And he said he
Oh,
would
yeah.
hear a
You
bunch
can
of,
sense that. We were talking when before going on, talking about like our bodies being
yes,
the
they are
best
the best
instrument.
instruments.
Yeah. Like like when you like when I go into a location and there's a lot of spirits in there, or when I feel something manifesting, you feel that heaviness on your chest.
Yes.
And scientifically, what else is happening? See, the entity, the spirit, whatever it is trying to manifest. It's sucking in energy. So now scientifically, if you have equipment on, especially like relating to the I guess the energy of the room, it changes the barometric pressure. So once
Yes.
that happens, I feel that. So it's the barometric pressure is changing. I feel the pressure on my chest, and it's the spirit also manifesting.
I mean,
So
I tell everybody, one time, this happened to me once. This was a few years ago. I was doing an investigation. It was an empty house, and I was upstairs by myself. It was an older house, one of those narrow older houses.
oh
I
yeah,
was upstairs, and I was sitting, and all of a sudden, that smell you get right before a thunderstorm, like
yeah,
ionization.
yes,
All of a sudden, I'm sitting there, and I'm smelling it. And by the way, I would check the weather before I went out,
yeah.
because I always wanted to know, just for. And I'm looking at through the window, and it's like there's no thunder, there's no rain, and I'm smelling this, and sure enough, like maybe 15, 20, 30 seconds out of the caddy corner across from where I'm sitting on the floor, it's like darkness, because it just so happened the window's here, so this is like, I see this shape come up from the darkness up
Oh
to like human figure.
yeah,
That we could tell the outline. And I tell everybody, this is what I'm getting goosebumps on. What grabbed me is that it all of a sudden, I must have made some noise. I don't know. I was sitting there just with a recorder. Like I said, this was many years ago, and I couldn't make out features. All of a sudden, it became aware of me. I made some noise, and it turned and looked at me.
oh
And then it went right. There was a closet right next to it, that
yeah,
wall, and it just like so fast, so
yeah, yeah.
fast. It went in, but that's the only time I've ever seen something where that smell thing
Oh,
that you
that's
said
so creepy.
about the barometric pressure,
Yeah.
that I was sitting there, I was like, where is
Yeah,
that
it's the weather,
smell
like
coming
the
from?
measurement, like of the weather, the air quality,
Yes.
and that's what it does. It's because it's sucking. And
Yes.
so, too, another thing, like, well, that smell you smell is like the
Yeah.
water smell before the rain.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes. It's a very
So,
anybody that's about to get a rainstorm that it
yeah,
gets
I
really
know exactly
still,
what you're talking about.
you get that smell, and you're
Yep.
like, and if you're outside or whatever, you understand. But if you're sitting there, you're like, where's that smell coming from? And exactly what you said, I'm sure that had to do something. If there was a way to a
Absolutely.
barometer to basically to check the barometric pressure, I'm sure that it was affected.
Well, I'm going to tell you something else. A lot of people don't know is poltergeist manifest from water. When there's
Really?
poltergeist activity in a home,
Mm-hmm.
resident, I when somebody calls in to describe what's going on, I said, let me ask you something. Are you finding wet spots in
Oh
your
my god.
home that are where water could not appear? And they're like, yeah, it's funny. Water appears in the front of the bed. That's where it's manifesting, and they manifest out of this water. The water has been tested before, and it's regular water. There's just one component in it that's different, but not unusual. It's just different to be in water.
Okay. I'm gonna tell the rest of the story. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
That that investigation, like I said, it was up. There was these narrow stairs. There was two bedrooms upstairs, a hallway, and at the end of the hallway was these narrow stairs that went downstairs. I was the only one upstairs. Everybody else was downstairs. A couple of other people, and I was
Yeah.
just sitting up there. It was empty. I heard, and you can check my. I've said the story before. I heard somebody coming up those stairs in not in shoes, in foot, barefoot.
Yeah.
Okay, that it was like one of those horror movies. Like I had my back, the back of the stairs were like right behind me. So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
sitting on the floor and I'm hearing something, and it's the footfall. It doesn't sound like a man. It was either a woman or a child or
Yeah,
something.
you can always sense the sex. That's
But
the easiest thing to sense.
all of a sudden, finally, I said, I gotta look. I gotta look. I was like, I looked, and whatever it was, I just saw something. I couldn't even,
Yeah.
saw something. But when I looked, I saw a couple of, they weren't really wet footprints, but have you ever stepped on something when your foot is damp?
Yeah.
I saw that and it had wooden flooring, very old, like you
Yeah.
could tell this is like original wood flooring, really
Yes. Yes.
old.
Yeah.
And when you said that thing about the poltergeist connected to water,
Yeah.
that's why I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. That's a telltale sign.
But it was very light, like when something is like, and I was like,
Let me tell you something. I have a case that I'm working on, and the man's a straight shooter. He's a vet, and he really doesn't care about the paranormal. Doesn't believe in it. He doesn't give a shit about it, but he's not scared. But he has a poltergeist in his house. He just wants it gone. They're very
okay,
hard to get rid of. They're very hard. And
when did it start? What?
well, I know. Well, listen, he's getting wet towels thrown at him.
All
He's
right.
in his living room. He's also found his mattress in the bathroom. Now he lives in a two-family house, but it's a very small apartment. When you walk into the living room, then you walk through the threshold, and you're in the kitchen. Right to the left of the kitchen is the bathroom, then into the bedroom. So I remember when he called me about the wet towels being thrown at him. He
That's
goes,
what.
April. He goes, he's a logical man.
Mm-hmm.
Serviceman. He said there was no water. The sink wasn't wet. The bathroom wasn't wet. Nothing. There was no water anywhere. There was no drippings. But he was having wet towels thrown at him.
He must have been. He must be, and he's
He
handling
wasn't
this
even
okay.
scared. He's not scared. He's pissed off. He's not in the mood for this.
What? Because poltergeists most of the times they have like a time period, and then when did it war? Was there a triggering event that he
This
could
has
trace
been
it back
going
to?
on for a few years.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I went there last year. I got rid of. There was one. vagrant, like, entity, ghost there. It was a female. She crossed over. But I told him, I said, listen, there's something else here that was controlling her. It's a poltergeist. I said, this thing is, they usually are attached to somebody's bad energy. It's like a thought
Mm-hmm.
form, but
Yeah.
it's a real thing. The guy that lives downstairs has PTSD from the war.
Oh.
So when I went to the house, I got rid of what I could. I said, listen, it's going to be quiet for a while. I said, probably a year. I said, you'll be calling me. I said, you call me once a year to the day. Calls me.
Okay.
He's like, it started again. So I tell him, like, I can't do anything because this guy downstairs does not want to talk to me.
Okay.
I can't get into the house. I can't get
All
into
right.
the apartment.
So you think this guy downstairs is the source?
Absolutely. So it's not going to stop until this guy moves.
Let me ask you, what kind, do they have any type of relationship? Do they get along okay, or is it?
He's yeah, they do, but the guy, goes on his crazy,
Okay.
he has
All right.
PTSD. So he's very paranoid of everything. He's cranky,
Yeah. Okay.
argumentative. So he's
Oh yeah.
not a fun person to be around. He does not like
Okay.
me. He never met me, but he doesn't like me. He doesn't want to meet me. He doesn't care about me.
All right.
If he
Yeah,
had his
this
way, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be allowed there. But
and well, if he's willing to put up with it, I mean, it
I
sounds like
told him,
a
like, he calls in. He goes, April, like, this has happened. I said, I can't do anything unless I can get downstairs.
right.
I
That's what I
need,
was thinking. It's
yeah,
like,
I need to get downstairs and I need to talk to him, talk sense into him. Tell him I'm not a weirdo. I'm just a normal girl. I don't dress
right.
weird.
Does he? And it's always just been the towels. He's never actually seen anything.
No, there's been smells. He'll wake up. I didn't actually see anything. He'll wake up and his fruit will be in a perfect circle. Or
Oh, that is
sometimes
that
it'll
is
be,
that is
yeah,
classic
or
poltergeist.
yeah,
Yes.
the geometric. He said sometimes it'll be like, how it makes a little swirl circle, perfectly
Yes.
done.
Like a
He said,
spiral, like a
yeah, like a
circle.
spiral. He said with my apples and my oranges perfectly done in a perfect
Wow.
circle. So I'm like, you got to take pictures. Like he's not like us, like we're like taking
Right,
pictures.
right, exactly. He's
He
like,
just
oh my
wants it
God.
gone. I said, please take pictures.
Like the
So
pre they rearranged the fruit again. Oh,
yeah, and he's been calling, but I'm like busy now because now I have the magazine. So I'm like, it's hard for me to do the residentials, and plus, I do my readings, during the day and at
right.
night, like, so I have my late nights. I read almost every day. I'm booked all the time,
I
and then
bet.
I got the magazine. So
Let me ask you, have you ever gone on an investigation or anything like that where you're like, this is beyond me. I need to get out of here. Like,
I have, and it was bad. It was very bad. I just told somebody this story. Um, I met with the family, husband, wife, and a small child, and a lot of goings on. This is the one with the poltergeist, to mind you.
mm-hmm.
So much more than that. Um, this guy had a possession. He was possessed, but it's not like the TV possession.
Yeah, not the I'm spinning
Yeah.
spinning pea
Now,
soup
as a
thing.
shaman, we are taught, we're trained in demonology, we're trained in exorcisms. It's matter of fact, my chief, the tribe I'm under, our chief, she was one of the first. What? It's funny. I'm doing an article on. She's in my upcoming this issue of Ghost magazine. She's in it,
Okay.
and she trained us like how to this physical traits to possession, because they're not all going to be spitting pea
Yeah,
soup.
yeah, yeah. That typical, the
But I
Hollywood
was talking
version.
to this guy, and I was looking, and he had the physical attributes, and I remember calling her, chief. I said, Charlie, this. I'm telling you what's going on. I'm going to send you some pictures, and so I go to the house. The wife is scared. He has a successful business. They messed around with drugs. A lot of people ask about that. Who hasn't? Like
Mm-hmm.
not here, whatever.
Right.
Because some people are like, oh, that interferes. No, you can't discount people like that. All walks alive life
Right.
are going to have issues. So anyway, I go to the house, and I'm talking to the guy, and I'm actually doing like an exorcism on him, and standing there talking to him. He's a normal guy, good looking guy too. And as I'm finishing, he's looking at me, he's going, April, he goes, I don't want to get rid of it. I like it.
There you go.
So I
There
am
you go.
just, and listen,
That
he,
was there by invite.
yeah, by invite of free will, he is a clear mind, sound
Perfect,
mind.
perfect possession.
Yep. So anyway, so now I'm finishing the last paragraph of what I have to say, and behind him, I'm standing in front of him, and behind him is the door to out the bedroom. But then across is this white door to another bedroom. It's closed. It's a bright white door because in between is a bathroom, and the lights on, and it's shining. The white is so bright. As I'm finishing this last sentence, and he's saying to me, April, I like it. This 7-foot black figure walks out of the bathroom,
Oh,
blackens the
boy.
door, it darkens, there's no more light, the white. I was so scared, and I finished what I said, and I said, all right, then I'm out of here. I ran down the
Yeah.
stairs. I said, I cannot help you. I ran out the door, hopped in my car, and I left. I was scared driving, and I'm checking my back seat, looking over my shoulder. This thing scared because he gave it power. As soon as he said that, I said, oh my God, I'm done.
Yeah, what am I doing here?
I gotta go. I'm not sacrificing my family's safety because he is of sound mind. He's not taking over.
Sure.
Completely.
It's not like somebody that you hear,
people that like the darkness.
Oh yeah.
Let
me ask you, do you think his wife knew it or suspected it, or?
I think so. So. Yeah. And they thought I was going to fix it, and I could not fix this. He needs to find God or something. He's liking the power.
Let me tell you something. You would even talk to clergy, priest, exorcist of the Catholic Church. Yeah. They'll tell you, when you got that situation, you cannot do first of all, you can't perform an exorcism on somebody that doesn't consent. That's number one. And number two, when you've got that set up, it's like, there's nothing.
Yeah. As soon as he said that and released that, and that thing walked out, that thing was letting me know I am in charge here, and I am, and I'm like, and I'm out of here.
Right, exactly.
You.
He's all yours. Bye.
Yeah, you can have him. He wants you. You can have him. I felt bad leaving the wife, but
sure,
she's she needs to leave. I remember saying to her, you need to leave. Leave him.
Yeah.
Leave him.
And that's the thing that, you know what, sometimes people like that, they kind of know they're in dire straits.
Yeah.
And they're trying to avoid the obvious, which is exactly what you said. I need to get out of here because obviously she lives with him, so she's got to know.
Yeah.
And they're hoping somebody like you is going to come, the magic pill kind of deal.
That's what they were thinking. And it's funny, but he wasn't telling her that he liked it. And and they were staying at a hotel. That's how scared they were in the house.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. Wherever you go, there you are.
Living with the devil. Listen, when I met him, I knew he had this side to him, that dark side. He has a darker side to him. And there are people like that. We all have our dark. And
sure.
Yeah. But we learn to control it,
yeah, of course. Impulse control, of course.
Yeah. And he liked it. He I don't think he was essentially always he was always wavering on that fine line. And and he found this thing, and with it is coming this power. And
you never know how long that thing had been walking with him. You really don't.
Exactly. And it was sexual too, like with him, because he was talking about him and his wife, like sex, like that, how much better it was. I'm like, ooh, I said, I don't want to discuss this. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. If you read, if you read some of these books by some of these exorcists, like Hostage to the Devil and other, they'll tell you for some reason that they'll describe certain pretty like full-blown possessions.
Yeah.
There's always, like you said, a very ugly sexual component.
Yes.
As part of the possession.
Yeah.
Okay. It is. It's like when you read the stories.
There were so many red flags, and quite honestly, I don't even like when friends discuss that stuff like that. Like
Right? No. I know what you're saying, but
So
it's
it
not
made
even
me
the thing of
feel
the
so
sexual.
uneasy.
It's
It is. It's the whole thing. It's
it's what can I say? It's got like a flavor of deviancy to it.
yes, exactly. That's exactly what
It's not like no. It's like because like at the end of the day, you're an adult, and it's like no. It's like all right, I don't want to talk about this. It's like you feel like you're
dirty. No,
deviant.
there's
Yeah.
deviance to it. There's a
Yeah.
sick sexual appetite to this man,
Yes.
or the people that are going under possession. I have seen possessions that I didn't participate in but had witnessed where the person was completely like out of it. Like it
Yes.
was
That's
weird
it.
and the voice changing. So I've seen that side too. So that's why I'm like, there's different levels to this. You know,
Oh, the
this
the the the
person,
the
the
and
person
you'll have these people that sometimes people don't realize that if they did certain, let's say, I'm gonna use this as occult stuff in
yeah,
their youth, sometimes this comes knocking on their
yeah,
door years later.
yeah. This woman was weak. She was weak, a timid, meek personality. She was easy to take over. She was fully engulfed with this.
What do you think? How did she get it?
Um, you know what? I forgot. This is a while ago.
Uh-huh.
I forgot because I wasn't participating in it.
All right.
I forgot the reason behind. I forgot the whole story, but it was just weird. It was a different type that I've seen. The one that we would see on TV type, without the pea soup. But it was
No, the
like
reason why I asked is that sometimes, the entry point for that is childhood trauma,
yes, of course. Oh, of course.
and then when you just said that thing about timid, I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, also you get not only trauma, so now that's where the
yeah.
thought forms come in,
Yes,
where we
yes.
create them. Now I've been to locations because
Okay.
people were complaining. And I would get there, I don't feel anything, and either they're full of shit, and
Right.
I'm telling you, like, and usually I do my remote viewing, and I'm like, but it was somebody I knew,
Okay.
and I think they were kind of like, how can I say, a groupie to the paranormal,
Okay.
wanted so
Yes.
bad to have something happening,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and that's what happened. And I was seeing little shadow figures, but they were created.
Okay.
They were created. They weren't an actual. But wait, I want to tell you something. Wait, this is crazy. Um, I'm sorry. I was drinking coconut juice, so I got a
That's
little
fine.
bit of coconut on my lips. Um, we did capture an EVP there of a little boy that was a little weird. I forgot what it's.
I have my own theory whenever I hear.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Listen, when you hear children, people say, "Oh, there's children here." I said, "No, they're not. Children cross over."
Okay. Yes. Well,
Yeah,
and I tell everybody because I said
be
people
careful.
have a hard time understanding that if you have some type of intelligent haunting, maybe non-human, might be human, but definitely where there's a malevolent twist to it, people
Yeah.
have a hard time comprehending that it's manipulative. And I say, what's the first thing adults do if they think it's a kid? Oh, they let their guard down. Oh,
Exactly.
it's a little
That's
kid. Oh
what
my
they do.
God. Oh, a little boy or a little girl.
Yeah.
Oh, all the precautions that people take
Exactly.
go. Psh,
They're being
and
taken advantage of.
whenever I hear little kid, I'd be like, oh no. What do you
I
mean, oh no? It's like, oh no.
I went to a location. A woman had us go there, and because she was seeing a child, and I saw the child, and I'm like, and I sat the woman down. I said, "This is not a real child." I said, she didn't want us to get rid of it for the team there
Oh, one of those.
because I like her. I said, "You cannot live with spirits. We cannot live with
Oh,
spirits. It's not
thank
helping."
you. Thank you. Somebody that actually
Yeah.
understands that.
It's
Yes.
people that live in haunted locations, they always have health issues. You
Yes,
know
they
what?
do.
Because remember I told you the guy that the frequency of his body, of that
Mm-hmm.
spirit, because we're living, we work at a different frequency,
Sure.
and they're higher frequency, so it's it's making our heart race. It's going to make us sick. Like I
Yeah.
felt sick after being around this. Imagine living with this all the time. It's going to affect you after time. You're
Yes.
gonna, yeah,
It's some of the investigation I went later on, I realized, like you said, that they weren't BSing. It's like really they didn't want you to get all they were trying to do is confirm it and identify possibly.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, but leave it here. And I'd be like, you sure about that? And it'd be like, I know.
Yeah.
Then one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to call us in about a year or less, or you're
Yeah.
going to have to move out of here.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is what a lot of people end up doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
When
this, I
it
never
gets
heard
away
of
from
it.
them, all of a sudden, because we would sometimes, you find out later that the best, easiest solution to it is they move, and hopefully whatever it is stays, whatever
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
back there.
Yeah. This
But
thing was attached to the property, but she had this sick uh, affection towards this child. Not in a weird way, but I mean, like, I guess.
no,
The
no, I
mother,
know, I know,
yeah.
I know, I
Um,
know, I
but
know. But people have a hard time understanding that.
she couldn't, separate her emotions from it, and I'm like, all right, I'm like, lady, I'm going home. I'm like,
Yeah, it's like, right,
I
yeah,
don't have time for this. I traveled very far, and of course I don't charge. I don't ask for anything.
right.
I'm going to go help whoever I can. I've driven hours for people.
How about have you ever, and I'm sure you must have, come across people like you said that are BSing that you feel like saying, there's nothing here. Oh, but there must be. It's like, no, there's nothing
Oh
here.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A couple times.
That
Uh,
they want so badly to
they
have
wanted
a haunted house.
they wanted so bad, and like I said, there's some groupies that want it so bad because they want to
Yeah,
be part of the community and say
yeah,
something. I was so angry at yelling at them, like, you created this, like these
right.
little shadow figures are thought forms created by you. Now,
Yes.
there's more to it, but I don't want, if I tell you the rest of the story, they'll know who I'm talking about. So if they ever watch this,
Okay. Well,
I have to tell you after our.
okay. But
No,
I'm telling you that a lot of people they and I tell them you don't really know what you're asking for. Oh no,
Ooh,
because they get caught up, and I say, you know what? One thing is when you go to somebody's house to investigate, and another thing is when it's in your house.
yeah, whole
Everything
different
changes.
story. Oh yeah, I don't allow that in my house. I've had
Yeah.
spirits with me. The one thing I would never turn away a spirit. Looking. I always said, like, I'm not going to block them. But then twice something happened to me, and I'm like, that's it. Nobody's allowed to wake me up ever, ever. I don't, only if it's a complete emergency that has to do with my family, because two people that passed away woke me up,
Oh.
and it was scary because
And
the
what they
one
had just passed away?
my tenant, I own a 2-family home, woke
Okay.
me up when she passed, screaming in
Oh.
my ear, and I couldn't make out what she was saying. And it's 1:30 in the morning, and she's screaming in my ear. So I jump up. Then I put all the lights on the TV.
Uh-huh.
I go outside. I'm walking around. Like, I go outside for air because I'm like scared shitless because it screamed so loudly in my ear. And I'm like, I know this voice. I don't, but I'm like, but I can't put two and two together.
Right.
Why would my tenant be screaming in my ear?
Okay.
And so I go back and I'm sitting watching TV with all the lights on, and she does it again. I said, I cannot understand what you're saying. Slow down. So now I can't sleep. I'm so scared. So my husband wakes up finally at 6, and I said, there's a woman screaming in my ear, and I don't know. She's trying to tell me something. I know it's important. And I said, the voice sounds familiar, but I can't make out what she's saying. Well, fast forward. He goes to work. My daughter wakes up. I was going to take my daughter to somewhere in the city, to the doll place. And so I said, let me go check on Josephine, because I always checked on her because she had no family and she can't really go up and down the stairs. So we had a food shop for her and everything. I go up there. I go in her room. I'm like, Josephine, I'm calling her. I'm not hearing from her. I'm getting that sick feeling,
Uh-huh.
So I go in her room. I don't see her. I go look in the other room. I go in the kitchen, because same setup as my house. I said, oh my God. And I stopped, and I'm like, she's dead. She's
Oh.
in the bedroom, and I must have missed her. And I go in. She's like half under the bed.
Wow.
So I call the police. Wait, this just gets bigger and better. I call the police. The police come there. All of a sudden, the prosecutor's office is being called in. That they're questioning me.
I was gonna
Like,
say.
wait, it just gets better and better. And like the cops, like some idiot cop is being really nasty to me He's like, "Ah," like, because sometimes I would leave her notes. I'm like, Josephine, you got to do this, like yelling at her,
Right.
but because she wouldn't listen to me. So finally he's like, because now they're treating it as a murder scene, I'm like, she's an old, because she
Yeah.
was half under the bed. They couldn't understand why she's under the bed.
Right.
Now, this is the funny part. So now the cop comes down. The one cop comes down and he goes, April, let me ask you something. He goes, did she wear a scarf around her neck? And I said, yes. And this is when it dawned on me.
Right.
I said, Josephine had an operation on her vocal cords. So she talked like this. But she wore a scarf all the time to cover it. So when
Okay.
she would get upset, she was like, that was the voice.
That was the voice.
It was
Like
the
you couldn't
voice.
understand what she was
I
saying.
knew the voice, but I couldn't because I'm not thinking she's dead.
Right.
So that
Right.
hit me. So they thought somebody had choked her with the scarf.
Oh, with a scarf. God.
Yeah, she had. It turned out she had a heart attack. She had a heart attack. The coroner said she either was like fell through like the back of the bed, like writhing.
Right.
I wouldn't be descriptive, or she fell to the floor and like was moving around because she couldn't breathe. So
Yeah.
that was a crazy story. But as soon as she said that, I said, "Oh my God, it was Josephine that woke me up. That was the voice." She would yell because she would open the door. I'm like, don't slow down. I can't understand you. I can yell at her all the time.
Let me ask you something. That was it. After that, you didn't hear from her anymore?
She stayed around for 2 weeks, which I would now listen. Now I'm petrified because I've never had that happen to me in my home, anywhere I lived, that a spirit was around me. So now I have a daughter. So I'm like, I got to get rid of this thing. Now I'm scared. I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. Like I would sleep on and off for like an hour here and there because I'm petrified that I can't get her out of my house.
Okay.
She wasn't a bad person. She loved us. She was like our
Right.
family. She loved the house. She loved where she lived, like, the window because it oversees like the trees and everything. And she watched the birds.
Right.
She didn't want to leave. I had to have somebody else cross her because I couldn't. It was too much for me.
Yes.
So now, probably a year later, I feel somebody walking. I could feel. I get woken up out of my sleep because I feel somebody walking through my house. They're invisible. I can't see, but I know somebody's here. I could hear, and all of a sudden, I feel them come through the bedroom door. And I sit up because I know they're there, and the bed goes down next to me. So I turn my head, and I hear, "Hey," a woman. I said, "Hey, F out of my house." My neighbor across the street, who I was very friendly with, passed away that night, and we're like, "Hey, hey," that's how we.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, that's it. Nobody's supposed to wake me up ever again. I can't go through this. I cannot go through this.
So all your neighbors were like,
waking me up. Yeah. And wait, this is the funny part, but I live directly next to a cemetery.
Oh my God.
Right next to them. But people always say, like, aren't you afraid? I said, listen, when you die, are you hanging out you think you're going to hang out where you're buried?
But let me ask you, is it like an older cemetery, like a closed cemetery, or is it still active?
No, it's very active. It's very,
all right. I'm surprised though.
Yeah.
Nobody's come by to, hey.
It's funny. This is the funniest thing. My husband, when we first moved here, when we were in the backyard, he's still trying to find this picture. And you know how we all feel about orbs. But he took a picture of me in the backyard. Now, mind you, the cemetery's right behind me.
Right.
So there's millions and millions of orbs around me. Millions. I'm just engulfed in orbs.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised nobody's come over there. Somebody's like, hey, I got to tell them. They killed me. I didn't commit suicide or something like that. I'm just making stuff up.
I've had hitchhikers, but it was I actually, you know what? I have to go soon. I have a reading.
Yes, I know you said that.
Such a great time with you.
Yes,
I would love to speak more.
Yes.
I would actually like to interview you.
Okay, all right.
Because I think you have a lot of very interesting stories.
Yes, I do. But you have my email. Go to my website, or if not, you have my email. I've been sending you emails.
Yeah, I wrote everything down too. Like when you were talking.
Yes.
Wait, what it says? nightshapestories.com.
I have Nightshade's Diary. I mean, I have various podcasts.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
have
do
besides
check it
this,
out.
I have two other podcasts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, yeah, but uh, just and I got some wild stories from when I was hypnotherapist. Some of the stuff I was
Oh
like,
my God.
because
You know,
I would do alternative hypnotherapy
yes.
besides the
Well,
smoking cessation. I had
Brian,
some
wait, is it Raymond Moody, Doctor Raymond?
Raymond Moody. He was
Oh,
the near death experience.
I
He was
love.
the first one that introduced that with the
Yeah.
NDE and
Oh,
scrying,
yeah.
which you got to be careful with that. People
Oh,
don't
yeah. I
realize
don't
with the
do that.
scrying, you got
Yeah,
to be real careful with the scrying
I don't
because
do that.
But yeah, I had and I used to have my office out of a detached garage I had in my house.
Oh,
Yeah.
later on, I was actually flown out to Ohio by a
Mm-hmm.
family because of a haunting. They put me on a flight, put me up at a hotel. It was crazy, crazy, and it has to do with the hypnotherapist.
Really?
So I have to get into that story
Yes.
with you
To ask me.
because I
Yes.
actually can't discuss it because they don't want it. It was a private case, really
I'm
private.
telling you, like
Yeah.
despite what everybody thinks, there are a lot of people that don't want to talk
Don't no,
about
nope, they're
paranormal
very
stuff. They're
formal.
like,
They yeah, want nothing. We couldn't discuss it. We couldn't
yeah,
put pictures online, which I'm fine.
yes,
I don't care. I'm not in it for the
yeah,
glory.
mm-hmm,
But whoo, that was a crazy.
yes. You do
Yeah,
you hear and see a lot of things.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Good
I
people. They were great people. Great people.
but
So
shoot
yeah,
me an
so
email and we'll talk.
I thought, like I don't know. I didn't think I was going to enjoy this so
Oh
much.
man, this is
I
great. We could talk
actually
and
love
talk
it.
and talk and talk and I
I
know
know.
you
Oh
got to
my
do your reading.
God. We have to like definitely get together. I'm going
Yes,
to definitely
absolutely.
email you.
Yes, email me.
I'm
Email
going to
me.
send you my phone number and everything.
Yes, absolutely. Send
Yeah.
it to me. We'll
Thank you
talk.
so much for having me
On
on.
the contrary, it's been my pleasure, April. Take
All right.
care.
All right.
Happy readings.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, what a crazy conversation. I loved it. See, me and her, we speak the same language. Me and her speak the same language. Yeah. We were understanding. We were like, even before we started to record, we were here like, yeah, la, la, la. you know, when you're talking to people and everybody's like, you don't have to go into a detailed explanation of what you're asking because this person knows exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, things like that. It's really crazy when you're a kid, like what she was explaining. Normally, because most when you're a kid, especially when she saw it was her dad. Kids are more how's this? Kids are more open, and obviously, yes, you're going to get scared if it's something you don't. But if what you're seeing is a parent, the like she's saying, she's calling, hey, I'm seeing daddy. To her, there's nothing maybe unusual, but she's not scared of it. All right. But then I've heard of other people that as kids they've had really in other words, they have that ability, but unfortunately what they see, uh even if it's a dead person, a regular dead person, like she was saying, sometimes people appear in not the most best way. Sometimes they'll even look like what they look like when they passed away. And if it was a traumatic death, like as an injury, sometimes that, and if you're a kid, you're seeing this, you're like, that's what I'm saying. There's people that, if they have that ability, it's a hard thing. And people don't realize you could be psychic and not necessarily a medium. All right. Obviously she's a medium, which that's the whole side thing from the psychic part because you like she was saying, and I tell everybody that the closest example I can give us is that movie Ghost, where Whoopi Goldberg is a real psychic. And everybody's thinking well, no, she was acting like she was a fake. She was. Then it turns out she really was, and she's here sitting in her room, and she's got surrounded by all these ghosts. Everybody wants to talk to her. Okay, why? Because she can communicate with them. She can hear them. She can see them. Obviously, if anybody remembers the movie or saw the movie, she had two girls that were her helpers. They didn't see anything. It was all about her. And that's kind of what happens. Almost like in the spirit world, the word gets out this person can see us, hear us. And that's why I even asked April, have you heard have you had anybody, even that story that she gave of her neighbor that passed away, that, yeah, initially I'm sure she was screaming in her ear to let her know, hey, I'm dead, or something happened to me, or I'm under the bed, or who knows. And then maybe later on, like she said, because she was attached to April and the way she lived and everything. And, but yeah, stuff like that does happen where it's like, nah, I'm just going to hang out here with you guys. Which, by the way, and I'm glad she brought that up because that is my one thing. And I know a lot of people disagree with me on this. And there's people that say, no, I've lived for years with this ghost and whatever. I'm sorry. I have yet to find a story where that ends well. Like I said, people, they won't admit it, or they'll do the thing of like, oh, I want to keep it, it's okay, it was auntie whoever, or the old man that built the place, or the, oh, it's so exciting, it's a ghost, whatever. It ends badly a lot of times. Not, I'm going to say all the time, but sometimes I find out after the fact, through one way or another, yeah, that person, after they're like, no, no, same thing what she said, leave it here, it can stay here, we don't want anything to happen. Next thing you know, they've left, they've split, they've, and I did an investigation back in, oh, I got to bring up some of my pictures of me like 20 years ago when doing investigations. This was in a little town in Broward County called Margate. All right. This family called the group of us in because, like I said, I was a freelancer. They would all just pull me into all these different investigations, you know, because this family was selling the house and they wanted to make sure that what was there didn't follow them. All right. Now I'm speaking to this family, right? And they're saying how when they had bought the house originally, they said, well, when we bought the house, the family that lived here, oh, by the way, they said that they had angels everywhere. I mean, I can understand you've got a couple of angels here and there, but they said that the house was like wall to wall. And by the way, and they left all this angel paraphernalia, statues, whatever. They left it behind when they moved out. Later on, the realtor, okay, that did the transaction tells this family that on the day of the closing, this family, which was, they were Christian and they were highly religious. I don't know if they were highly religious to begin with or they became highly religious because of what was going on. But anyway, she's Jewish. They pull her into a prayer circle before going to the closing. She's cool with it, but she's like, okay. This realtor, like, I guess she got along with the new buyers, but she mentioned that. I guess maybe they, if I remember correctly, I think they had asked her like, hey, why did these people have so many angels and why did they leave them all behind? And she was like, well, and they even did this prayer circle right before we went to the closing and blah, 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 blah. Unbeknownst, this is like, if you're watching the movie, this is a foreshadowing. What happens is this place was haunted. And when we did the investigation, what had happened was, by the time, by the way, this was just a smaller house. This was like a bungalow type South Florida house, nothing big. I want to say, if I remember correctly, the neighborhood was maybe from the 60s, 70s, something like that. Turns out that they had done these prayers, and it was a young lady that was haunting the place. And apparently at one time she was in the house, but they had done something, not this family, the family that was there before, where she couldn't come inside the house. And this family kept saying, because it had the sliding doors, sliding glass doors, big giant, and they had like a porch behind that. And they were saying, oh no, we hear stuff all the time. We hear like the window, the glass like shake kind of. Um and there was also a bathroom that had a window that faced the backyard. And then later on, we even got to talk to some of the neighbors, and they had also, because these neighbors, there was nobody had put up a fence between yards. So basically, if you wanted to, you could walk from yard, even in the back, you could walk from yard to yard through people's backyards. And as we spoke to a couple of neighbors, and they said, yeah, we've seen her. We've seen her, like somebody, like some girl, and everybody kind of described her kind of the same way. She looked like long hair, like from the early 70s kind of look, like that, what they call a maxi dress, longer dress, flowery with the long hair. I don't want to say a hippie, but that kind of 70s style. Come to find out later on, we kind of, we had somebody there as a psychic and everything, and later on we confirmed that apparently they had been around that time period, that area had some sinkholes, okay, and they had found some girl's body in one of the sinkholes, and she was like one of these Jane Does. We don't know if this was her, but we're thinking this was her, and that the impression that we got from the psychic was that somebody had done away with her. This was around the time maybe that they were doing the construction, and somebody knew about the sinkholes and said, we're going to dump this body in there. Dumped her body, and that's why she kind of like she was going through the yards. I never went to actually see the sinkhole area, but it wasn't that far from where they were at, from that neighborhood. Anyway, this family, they had been living there, I want to say like maybe 5 years, 6 years. The phenomena they had experienced wasn't really, really that bad. The only thing that they said was, and this, by the way, might have nothing to do with, that had a very unusually high amount of animals die on them. Okay. And this came out because I asked them, we're talking about the backyard and this, and I saw, she goes, oh no, yeah, we have a lot of our animals are buried in the backyard. I said, oh, like a lot? And then they kind of look at each other and they're like, well, I said, like, what have you got here? And they're like telling me, I was like, and how long have you guys been here? What, 4 or 5 years? That's a lot of, like, were you guys maltreating your animals? And you could tell all of a sudden this thing went up on their head, like, holy crap, we have had a lot of animals. And I said, and I know that the lifespan of certain animals is not that long to begin with, but even amongst themselves, you could tell they were animal lovers. I can't remember what they had in there. And all of a sudden, believe it or not, it clicked in their head like, man, yeah, we have had a lot of animals die. So I don't know if that was related to the hunting or not. All right. And they were moving out of state. They were leaving Florida, and I want to say they're moving to North Carolina, South Carolina. And they just wanted, they were scared and not scared. How's that? They were concerned that, how's this? They were concerned that whatever it was going to follow them. Let me see if I can find a picture of me. This is from, what year is this, Marlene? 2007. This is me at, if I can bring it up. Hold on. Let's see if I can bring it up. That's me. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yep. See, that's me, and that's me at that investigation. As you can tell, I have a camera. What else do I got hung up on around me? This is May of 2007. I have my flashlight. That is my ID with the group that I was with. That's my phone. That's my camera. Yeah, you can see that right down there is my ID with a group I worked with. And yep, that was me doing that investigation. As you can tell, I'm outside. So sometimes people don't realize that, contrary to what you see in the Hollywood version of hauntings, it doesn't have to be horrific for people not to want it and not want them to follow it. They're following them wherever they're going. Because like what April was explaining, on some soul level, You realize I, as a living person, should not share. Yeah, like it's matter, antimatter. There's a part of you that, how's this, knows or understands the living and the dead should not coexist. I don't have anything against the dead, but when you're dead, you don't have one of these anymore. You don't have a skin suit anymore, which is what you need to operate in this plane. Okay. By the way, and that's where a lot of people also run into problems because, especially certain circumstances, certain personalities, and even deceased people, guess what they want? They want a human body. That's when you have those, everybody always thinks of the possession as being a demonic or non human takeover. Sometimes you will have it from a deceased human being because what they want desperately more than anything is to have what they can't, which is a human body. What's the next best thing? I will take that person over somehow. And by the way, I see this a lot, or have seen this a lot, in addiction problems, okay? Where that addict, if they're there already, is basically got an attachment from another addict, a spirit of an addict. How's that? That what they want is, I need to use your taste buds, your senses. I don't got that anymore. And that's also why some people have, not all the time, I'm not going to general, but that's why you have some people sometimes have a really, really, really hard time overcoming their addictions or their behavior. And it's because they got they got somebody with them who keeps pushing them back down into that hamster wheel of the behavior, whatever it is. I mean, fill in the blank on that. But yeah, what April said is, I totally agree with that. And I'm very happy because I've had guests and it's like everybody's entitled to their opinion. And by the way, there's people out there that have lived in haunted houses, or this is very normal for them and they don't feel, and by the way, this has nothing to do with being frightened. Yeah, you could be frightened, but this has to do with, it does something to you. It does something to you. Plus, the truth is, if you're a human soul, this is not the plane for you. By the way, this is not when you have a family member or friend come back and pay a visit. Hey, you're doing okay. I'm out of here because this place is not for me. It's kind of boring. I'm out to where I'm supposed to be. That's different. You like I said, you have family members say, "Oh, I smells grandma's perfume," or somebody. Oh, she's doing it. She's just checking in on you guys. Oh, you're all behaving okay. Well, I'm out of here. Bye. I'm gonna go play bingo up there, whatever. When you've got this is not, you don't want to be here. All right. You already did. You figured it out for better or for worse, and you're off in another thing, doing your own thing. Probably a lot happier than you're here. So, in other words, to make you realize that this place holds no attraction for you. All right. There's nothing here. Even if you have family members, even if you have children, there's something, if you have that understanding, where it doesn't hold any attraction for you. Because you have to trust up to a certain point that whoever was left behind is going to work it out. All right. Your soul understands that. But you can come back and visit. I'm talking about the other ones, the ones that by choice or by misunderstanding get stuck here for whatever reason. Like she said, maybe they're in certain situations where you got one of these non-human entities, as soul collectors, got everybody lassoed in at a certain spot. Somebody that's confused, afraid. That spider lady that was in life, she had mental health problems. I mean, it could be a bunch of different things. Sometimes it's I wasn't kidding when I said that thing about, hey, I didn't commit suicide. Somebody killed me. Sometimes that person wants to say, I didn't do that, or this is really what happened to me. Or, hey, you know what? My family thinks that I abandoned them and I left them and I didn't, I'm in a car in a canal. I fell in a lake and everybody thinks that I walked out on them and I didn't. Some of those things sometimes, not all the time, will tie the soul because they think they want to leave, but at the same time they have this thing like, I need to clarify this. All right. And then that's when they go and look for people like April to say, hey. Or unfortunately, like what she's saying, if you're a kid and you've got that ability to see things, hear things, whatever, and all of a sudden it's like becomes more of a curse than a gift kind of deal. But yeah, but they're around all the time. You just gotta like, and she was absolutely right. And I've said it before. I would go on investigations, and everybody says, oh yeah, okay, that place is supposedly haunted or has these sightings of whatever the figure was, the lady with the gown and the guy with a hat, and then all of a sudden you see this I've had it happen to me, descriptions or interactions or EVPs or whatever, or psychic impressions. We've had psychics of somebody that's like nothing what everybody's thought the lady with the Victorian dress and the no. Hey, I'm seeing this, of course, because they're free floaters. When they see a group of people, which you probably might have a psychic, and I tell everybody, once you work in this field, you develop sensitivity to some degree. It's like, oh my God, they might see me, they might hear me. Maybe I can say what I need to say, whatever it is. Mm, or it could be darker, it depends. But yeah, it's interesting. So I hope you guys like this interview with April. By all means, I forgot to ask her, but I'm going to say, what is her, hold on a minute, her website address. I mean, I will put it on the credits of the show. Hold on. Okay, she is at intuitiveapril.com, in www.intuitiveapril.com. That's for my podcast listeners. If you want to go and visit her on her website, she's got that new magazine that's coming out. That's out. I think it's the 3rd edition. And by all means, she's got all the information on her website. And for me, please subscribe wherever you find the show, so that you get notified when I release something. Look me up on Substack. Join my newsletter. Again, I put all kind of information, new podcasts, old podcast articles. If I'm releasing a book, whatever. Or if not, go to mppellicer.com, miamigoschronicles.com. Whatever the case might be, that's it. By the way, is it? She is technically my first interview for season 16 of Stories of the Supernatural. She is going to be my opening act for season 16. That's where I'm at, season 16. I'm going on 8 years because I have 2 seasons per year. Okay, 8 years. So there you go. So again, guys, thank you so much for being part of my audience. Please come back. Like I said, I've got a lot of interesting guests, and you are all wonderful. Till next time.